You ever walk into a room and just completely forget why you went in there? Or maybe you're halfway through a story and the name you were about to mention just vanishes? We've all had moments like that. And let me tell you, it doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It just means your brain, like the rest of your body, needs a little extra love and care as the years go by. The good news is, memory issues aren't something we just have to accept as we get older. There are real simple things you can do every day to keep your mind sharp, your thoughts clear, and your memories intact. Now, I want to be really honest with you. The idea that memory loss is just an inevitable part of aging, that's old news. Researchers have been studying this for years now, and they've found that our brains are far more flexible and adaptable than we once believed. It's something called neuroplasticity, which basically means your brain can form new connections, even in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. So you are not stuck with a foggy mind. You're not doomed to forget names, misplace keys, or repeat yourself endlessly. You just need to give your brain the right kind of fuel, the right kind of exercise, and a bit of consistent attention. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 simple proven tips to help you avoid memory loss after 70. These aren't complicated, expensive, or unrealistic things. These are habits and choices you can start today, right from your own home. We'll go through each one, and I'll explain why it works, how to do it, and even share a few real-life examples that you might relate to. By the end of this, you'll not only feel more confident about your memory, you might even notice a difference in how sharp and focused you feel in your everyday life. Let's start with something so basic, so everyday, that most of us overlook it without realizing how important it is. Hydration, yep, plain old water. Believe it or not, one of the sneakiest reasons older adults feel mentally sluggish, forgetful, or even dizzy is because they're not drinking enough water. As we age, our sense of thirst naturally declines. That means we often don't feel thirsty until we're already dehydrated. And when your body is dehydrated, your brain suffers too. Just a small drop in hydration levels can make your brain feel foggy, slow, and unfocused. You might notice you're having trouble concentrating, or you feel unusually tired even after a full night's sleep. One woman I know, Marlene, she's 74 and sharp as a tack, used to complain that her memory just wasn't what it used to be. She'd misplace things, feel scattered, and even started doubting herself. Her doctor asked a simple question: how much water are you drinking every day? Turns out Marlene was sipping coffee and tea all day but barely any water. She made a small change, kept a pitcher of water on the kitchen counter, and made a point to drink a glass first thing in the morning. Then one before each meal. Within a week, she said she felt like a cloud had lifted. Not only was she remembering things more clearly, but her energy was better too. Now, drinking more water might sound like a small thing, but trust me, small things stack up over time. Just like skipping water can quietly drain your brain, little daily habits can quietly build it back up again. Next up is something that might surprise you because it's so often taken for granted. Sleep, not just lying in bed with your eyes closed, but truly restful, deep sleep. You know, the kind that leaves you feeling refreshed when you wake up, not groggy or stiff. A lot of older folks struggle with sleep, whether it's waking up several times during the night, trouble falling asleep, or even just feeling restless in the early morning hours. And when that happens regularly, your brain doesn't get the rest it needs to do its housekeeping. That's right, your brain actually cleans itself at night while you sleep, flushing out waste and strengthening connections between memories. There's a reason you might find it harder to recall a name or remember an appointment when you've had a bad night's sleep. It's not just tiredness, it's because your brain didn't get to do the work it normally does while you're asleep. One of the best things you can do for your memory is to create a bedtime routine that actually helps you unwind. That might mean turning off the TV or phone an hour before bed, dimming the lights, or listening to calming music. It could be something as simple as making a cup of chamomile tea, brushing your teeth, and reading a chapter of a gentle book. The key is consistency. Your brain loves routine. The more predictable your sleep schedule, the better your brain functions. I remember my neighbor Harold, who's 81 now. For years he was waking up every night around 2 or 3 a.m., wide awake, frustrated and groggy the next day. His daughter finally convinced him to cut out the late-night news. He was watching it right before bed and getting worked up, and start winding down with some quiet music and a warm bath instead. She didn't believe it would help, but after a week or two, he said he felt like a new person. Sharper, more upbeat, and more confident in conversations. It's amazing how much of a difference one good night's sleep can make. Your brain thanks you every time. Now that we've touched on hydration and sleep, two of the most underestimated factors in memory health, let's move into a habit that really energizes your mind and helps protect it long term. So now that we've touched on two powerful but often overlooked habits, staying hydrated and getting quality sleep, let's talk about something that might make you smile. Movement. And no, I don't mean running marathons or lifting heavy weights. I'm talking about gentle, joyful movement that gets your blood flowing and gives your brain a fresh burst of oxygen. A simple walk around the block, light stretching in the living room, even dancing to your favorite song while you're doing the dishes. These little moments of movement matter far more than people realize. The truth is, when you move your body, you're also waking up your brain. Studies show that even moderate physical activity helps stimulate the release of brain chemicals that support memory, learning, and focus. It's like watering a plant. Your brain just comes alive with a little attention and flow. And here's the kicker. You don't have to do a lot. You just have to do it regularly. There's a gentleman I know, John, he's 76 and swears by his morning mosey as he calls it. He doesn't power walk or try to break a sweat. He just strolls through the neighborhood every morning for about 20 minutes, rain or shine. Says hello to the trees, the birds, even the squirrels. It's his way of starting the day with intention. And over time, not only has he felt more energized, but he says his thoughts are clearer, conversations come easier, and names don't slip his mind like they used to. You don't have to go far. Even walking circles around your backyard or a few laps through the hallway can do the trick. The important thing is consistency. Your brain thrives on oxygen and blood flow, and moving your body is one of the best ways to keep that flow going strong. Now let's shift into something a little more mental but just as important. One of the most powerful things you can do for your memory is to keep learning. I'm not talking about going back to school or reading heavy textbooks, unless that's your thing. I mean staying curious, challenging your mind, stretching it just enough to keep it flexible, like a well-used muscle. Whether it's picking up a new hobby, learning a few words in a different language, doing a puzzle, or even just reading an article about something you've never looked into before, learning keeps the brain young. A brain that's constantly engaged doesn't have time to get rusty. It stays active, alert, and better at forming new memories. You might be surprised how something as simple as trying a new recipe or learning how to use a new app on your phone can light up different areas of your brain. Even talking about a new topic with a friend or grandchild can spark those cognitive pathways. I remember a woman named Dolores. She's 82 and always had a knack for painting, but never took classes. Well, a few years ago, she finally signed up for a beginner watercolor class at the community center. She told me that just figuring out how to mix colors and create shapes felt like a mental workout at first. But after a few weeks, not only did she fall in love with painting again, but she noticed her focus and memory were sharper. She could recall names and details faster, and even felt more confident having conversations in groups. That's the beauty of learning. It doesn't have to be academic. It just has to be new. The novelty sparks interest, which then activates parts of your brain that may have been snoozing for a while. And the best part, it can be fun. You can learn in a way that fits your personality, your schedule, and your passions. Crossword puzzles, gardening, sewing, playing cards, watching documentaries, whatever lights you up. There's also something magical that happens when you combine movement and learning. Maybe you take up Tai Chi, which is both gentle exercise and mentally engaging. Or maybe you join a walking group where you chat and exchange ideas as you stroll. That combination of staying active both physically and mentally is like fertilizer for your memory. It gives your brain every chance to stay sharp, adaptable, and energized. Let's not forget the emotional side of all this. Memory isn't just about recalling facts or names. It's deeply connected to how we feel. And one thing that really tugs at memory over time is stress. Now, stress is part of life, no matter what age you are. But after 70, our bodies and brains become a little more sensitive to it. The same worries that might have rolled off your back years ago might linger longer now. and that ongoing stress can actually interfere with the parts of your brain that store and retrieve memories. Chronic stress releases a hormone called cortisol, and while cortisol is helpful in short bursts, like when you need to react quickly, it becomes harmful when it lingers. It can literally shrink areas of the brain responsible for memory and learning. That's why managing stress is more than just about feeling good. It's about preserving your mind. One of the simplest and most effective ways to calm the mind is through mindful breathing. Just pausing for a few minutes, closing your eyes, and taking slow, deep breaths can have a powerful effect on your brain chemistry. It lowers your cortisol levels and gives your brain space to recharge. You might also try journaling, listening to calming music, or spending time in nature. Even sitting quietly with a cup of tea and letting your thoughts drift can reset your nervous system. I knew a couple, Mary and Bill, who started doing a 10-minute breathing session together every evening after dinner. Nothing fancy, just sitting side by side, no distractions, breathing slowly in and out. After a few weeks, they both said they felt less scattered, less anxious, and surprisingly, they were both sleeping better. And Mary noticed something else. She wasn't losing her train of thought mid-conversation like she had been. She said it felt like her mind had a little more space to breathe too. All of this to say, your memory isn't something that just fades without warning. It responds to your daily habits, your environment, your routines. When you treat your brain like something worth protecting, nurturing, and challenging, it responds in kind, movement, curiosity, stress relief. These things create the conditions for your mind to thrive. Next, we'll look into something many people overlook entirely, but it plays a huge role in how clearly you think and how much you remember. Not to mention how connected you feel to the world around you. There's something truly powerful about feeling connected, not just to people, but to a sense of purpose, a daily rhythm, a life that still feels full and meaningful. And that brings us to something most people underestimate when it comes to memory. The impact of social connection. You see, the brain doesn't operate in isolation. It thrives on interaction, on conversation, on laughter, storytelling, shared experiences. When you're around others, especially people who make you feel seen and valued, your mind lights up in ways that no puzzle or supplement ever could. You've probably noticed it yourself. Think about the last time you had a really good conversation. One where you were fully present, engaged, maybe even laughing a little. Afterward, didn't you feel a bit more energized, a bit sharper? That's not your imagination. When you engage socially, especially in meaningful ways, your brain is actively forming and reinforcing neural pathways. You're recalling names, following the thread of a conversation, responding in real time, all of which are forms of cognitive exercise. And it doesn't have to be with a big group. Even one-on-one conversations, a phone call with a friend, or chatting with the cashier at the grocery store can spark that brain activity. I remember a woman named Grace who told me she felt her memory starting to slip after her husband passed away. For a while, she pulled back from her regular outings, church, her book club, visits with the neighbors. She said it just felt easier to stay in. But over time, she noticed more than just loneliness. She couldn't find the right words as quickly. She'd walk into a room and forget why she was there. It scared her. Then her daughter signed her up for a weekly knitting group at the local library. At first, Grace was hesitant, but after a few weeks of listening to others' stories, sharing tips, and getting to know some new faces, something shifted. She told me it was like her brain started waking up again. Names came easier. Conversations felt smoother. Even her sense of humor came back. And she said something that really stuck with me. I realized I wasn't just missing people, I was missing myself. That's the heart of it. Connection doesn't just help us feel less alone. It helps us stay mentally and emotionally alive. And in this world where it's easy to feel like we're being left behind or forgotten, choosing to reach out even in small ways is an act of self-care. Now let's talk about something a little more personal. What you put on your plate every day. Your brain is like the engine of a car, and like any engine, it runs better when you give it the right fuel. A healthy diet isn't just good for your waistline or your heart. It plays a direct role in your memory, focus, and even mood. After 70, the foods we eat become even more important because our bodies process nutrients a little differently, and our brains are more sensitive to inflammation and imbalances. There's growing research showing that certain foods actually protect brain cells and help reduce the risk of cognitive decline. Think about foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, like salmon or walnuts. They help build healthy brain cells. Berries like blueberries and strawberries are packed with antioxidants that help fight off the kind of stress that damages memory over time. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and even good old-fashioned romaine lettuce are loaded with folate, which supports brain function. And let's not forget healthy fats from things like avocados and olive oil. Your brain is made up of nearly 60% fat, so feeding it high-quality fats is like giving it premium fuel. I know sometimes people get nervous about fats, especially after decades of being told to avoid them, but the key is choosing the right ones. They nourish your brain and help it function at its best. I met a man named Carlos who had been feeling foggy for a while. His daughter, who's a nutritionist, helped him make just a few small changes. He swapped white bread for whole grain, started adding a handful of walnuts to his oatmeal, and began eating fish twice a week. Within a month, he said he felt like someone had turned the lights back on in his head. He was remembering appointments, names, and even some of his old jokes he thought he'd forgotten. It wasn't magic, it was nutrition. And water still matters here too. Hydration is part of a healthy diet, and many older adults simply don't feel as thirsty as they used to. But your brain needs that moisture to function. Think of your brain like a sponge. It doesn't work well when it's dried out. So whether it's sipping water throughout the day, enjoying soups, or adding more water-rich fruits like melon and cucumber to your meals, it all helps. Something else that's often overlooked is the importance of routine. Now, I'm not talking about living the same day over and over again like clockwork, but having a gentle, predictable rhythm to your days can really support memory. When your mind isn't constantly scrambling to figure out what's next, it frees up energy for more important things, like remembering names, conversations, where you left your glasses, or what you walked into the kitchen for. Creating small anchors in your day, like morning stretches, a daily walk, mealtime rituals, or an evening wind-down routine, gives your brain a sense of structure. And when your brain feels safe and secure in its routine, it tends to perform better. You're less likely to feel overwhelmed and more likely to stay focused. One man I know says he starts each morning with the same 3 things. He makes his bed, makes a cup of tea, and reads a poem. It sounds simple, but that structure gives his day momentum. He says he forgets less now because his mind isn't cluttered with the chaos of unpredictability. You don't have to become rigid about it. It's more about creating a flow that feels supportive instead of draining. When your mind doesn't have to be on alert all the time, it rests more easily and remembers more clearly. All of these things, movement, curiosity, nutrition, social connection, stress management, and healthy routines, come together like pieces of a puzzle. No one habit is a miracle cure, but together they create a strong foundation. They tell your brain, I care about you. I'm here for you. I'm not giving up on you. And that's really the most important message of all. Memory loss after 70 isn't inevitable. Yes, changes happen, and yes, we may have to work a little harder to keep everything sharp. But that doesn't mean we're powerless. We have more influence over our mental clarity than we're often told. And every small step we take, whether it's choosing a colorful meal, calling a friend, or stepping outside for a walk, those steps add up. They strengthen our minds, our confidence, and our sense of independence. You're not alone in this, and you're not past your prime. In fact, in many ways, this chapter of life offers a richness and depth that earlier years just can't touch. Your wisdom, your experience, your stories, they matter. And keeping your memories strong means you get to keep sharing them, keep showing up, and keep living fully. So if this video brought you a bit of clarity or comfort today, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments. What helps you stay mentally sharp? Maybe you have a morning routine, a favorite food, or a memory-boosting trick that works for you. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We've got so much more to explore together, and your support means the world. Here's to minds that stay clear, hearts that stay open, and lives that stay beautifully vibrant, no matter the age. You've still got so much life to live. Let's make every moment count.